Aloha. Yes, your food system is a corporate nightmare that is just as bad as the justice system, and as bad as the doctor system, and as bad as the higher education system. They're all institutions built by folks who take advantage of the whole thing and leave everybody else in the dust. This rather unusual attitude stems from my membership of the Woodstock generation and years of participating and watching it. And it takes a while before the flaws begin to pop out at you. When they do, you feel a little shaky. What do you mean? What they told me about this and that isn't true? This morning there was a person on the news who said, gee, all these saturated fats aren't that bad for you. A new study just came out, blah, 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 that people are eating too much carbohydrates, and that's the cause of all this heart. Folks, it's shabai, it's fancy words that cloud the truth. And when you use your common sense, you're having a month right now since that last lunation that turned Uranus on. You're having a month of common sense. And to tell you the truth about this diet thing and fats, don't eat fats that are not liquids at body temperature, because they're not liquid in your body and they will get stuck. So like butter, you put a little piece of butter in your hand, it melts. So eat butter. But does pork fat melt? Does beef fat melt? No, olive oil melts. I mean, if it's liquid at room temperature, I wouldn't be afraid of it. Anyway, common sense triumphs. And you're really close to it. Yeah, it wasn't long ago Uranus stationed. If you're on the Thursday night show on Christmas, well, it was just last Sunday that Uranus stopped in the sky, permeates your consciousness, and you begin to see through all these things. Makes you uncomfortably alone. You mean I'm the only one that understands that, the salt they sell you in stores is just sodium chloride and really bad for you? But sea salt, evaporated ocean water, is really good for you? You mean there's two different kinds of salt? My God, my world is shaking. Life is a process. You live in this culture, in Western society. It's a process of using common sense to see through the lies and the subterfuge and the crap that's all over trying to get you to buy things that, lots of times aren't good for you. We used to have a saying, if it's being advertised on television, you don't need it. So what's going on? Well, Mars is here opposing Jupiter. There's going to be more young men opposing the justice system. Saturn here is squaring Neptune. Difficulties understanding the drug and doctor. There's a drug doctor insurance thing. Look at the TV commercials. Half of them are for drug stuff, yeah? Half of them, at least. Something crazy going on. Anyway, Uranus is still squaring Pluto. That's the biggie. And you're about to have a full moon on the 4th of January that's going to set this thing off. The full moon, in fact, is going to be down here in Cancer and oppose Pluto. Who's Pluto? Well, the policemen, the investigators, the prosecutors, and you've seen what's happened with the police. And my small way, I've said, gee, the police are beating up Uranus. What's Uranus? Well, homeless people who aren't part of the normal flow of society somehow. Anyway, how's it going to go day by day? We're going to run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern, and as it makes angles to things, I make little notes here on the side, and the blue ones are for sextiles and trines. And that's working well. That's happening nicely. It's nice and calm. The red ones are for squares and oppositions in red, and say here's a lot of energy and here's some possible difficulties. And so how's your Christmas? Well, if you're on the Thursday night show, it's the 25th, it's Christmas, and late in the evening, this is actually about 2 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, the 26th, the moon is going by Neptune. The moon's in Pisces, is in Pisces most of Christmas Day, and Pisces is pretty nice, except, you had that middle of Thursday, you had the square to Saturn, and it got cold and icy, and you felt isolated and poor. But yet we have music as you get to the end of your day Thursday, and religion, art, music, a lot of the stuff that's kind of difficult in American society is kind of Neptune flavored. It's sponsored by the Pisces people who always aren't what they seem. In the old days, they said that the Neptune people, like the priests, these were people who had soft hands, and doctors and priests and artists and musicians and actors all over our society. We elect actors to be president. These are Pisces people. They don't get their hands dirty. They don't put their hands on things, and that's a tip-off to a certain phoniness. Anyway, enough of my attitude. Yours should be very good Friday morning. The moon went by Neptune. You should wake up glowing and feeling a little like Jesus. Read Jesus. He's a great Neptune person, Even Jesus went off in the woods now and then to think it all over, though. And Friday afternoon, here's a sextile to Pluto, and you can kind of get along with the police, and there's not going to have many opportunities like that. Here's Mercury and here's Pluto, and they're going to try to help this matter of, do we really need policing? Here's the icing on the cake, Venus. It's a nice sextile, 60 degrees. Venus here is in Capricorn. She's kind of goatish. Anyway, a little love and sex could be great stuff Friday night. Friday is Freya, in the Norse. That's Venus. This is Venus's day. So it's nice she shows up. It's late. It's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, but, you can feel it at different times depending on where you are. Saturday, the moon's still in Pisces. Still feels good Saturday morning. I mean, this is really 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning. Wake up early if you're with somebody. The day continues with good vibes and good Neptune stuff and some love, and it's kind of nice. It started with all that discovery and communication here, and then some love, and now Saturday the moon slips into Aries, and here is Saturn, a trine to Saturn. You're getting all organized Saturday. Yeah, we got all snow shoveled off the walkway. Moon shifts into Aries, but too complacent here Saturday night, because you're going into the Uranus zone. Yes, you'll feel it maybe late Saturday night, because the trine to Saturn is here about dinner time, and just about that same time the moon shifts into Aries, and it begins to feel kind of electric. Sunday morning, there's a square to the sun, so your plans aren't going through, and it feels a little bit shaky and kind of electric, and you could have a clarity of common sense thought that would be amazing here, and there could be lots of new things going on as the moon goes by Uranus here at 12.5 degrees. Thing is, it squares Pluto, and there's a siren, there's a policeman, eek, a bug, there's a panicky feeling that's blocking your full consciousness development here. So it's a time for innovation, free thinking, common sense. I have to laugh, because every place I look in my studies of astrology, nobody ever uses the word except those few that claim the study. It's always astronomy. The ancient people had great mathematics and astronomy. No, that was astrology. Other innovative things are equally shunned by society, and so you could feel a little bit alone. One of my greatest teachers, Professor Wolf, over in School of Public Health in UH, told us about a doctor in Paris who found out when he washed that half the women who went into the hospital died like in childbirth. But in this one doctor's ward, they didn't. He washed his hands regular. He tried to get everybody else to wash their hands, and they laughed at him. But women used to fight to get into his ward. In the end, he was wandering Paris, kind of nutty, a street person, and he saw a pregnant woman. He'd say, "Now tell the doctor to wash your hands. Wash his hands before he touches you." Anyway, it's a lonely job being Uranus. I can vouch for it. And you're kind of, out there a bit all alone. And but it's worth it. The path less trodden. A little panicky, a little shaky. There's going to be some twirlies, hurricane kind of. Uranus is a spinning thing. Airplanes, computers, electronics. It's the world of Aquarius and science. And it's on deck Sunday, as you will see. The moon goes by the south node. You feel like you need a little help after that weird shaking and panicky aloneness you experienced Sunday. Monday, you'll still feel kind of similar. There's no peace there. There's a square to the old Venus. She's, sorry, Ben, might as well get up. The old full moon was right here. And there's the zapping of your consciousness from the higher side. Could be quite wonderful. So don't get discouraged if you feel a little lazy Monday morning. You'll get energy here in the evening with a nice sextile to Mars, and you'll get out and start doing stuff again. It'll feel much better. On Tuesday, December 30th, the moon shifted into Taurus. All the vibes changed totally. Here's inspiration from Neptune. And there's music and religion and art and color, and the higher heart opens up. That's Neptune. And the sun is there saying, let's get a project and go paint the thing or do something. Neptune is painting stuff, a surface coating. Pluto, the trine to Pluto and the discovery, and we like our policemen to come around and police us. If you look, you'll find that almost all criminals and crime stuff is stopped by citizens. And they call the police and they come and arrest the guy, and then they take the credit. It's the people who police themselves. You don't really need policing. With cell phones now, you could police people on the street. You see an erratic driver, take the picture of his license, call up the button and report him. He gets a bunch of them and get called in. You don't need policemen out there with guns stopping you on the road. Well, look out. That's something weird. Never thought something like that. Uh-oh, look out. Talk it over. There's a lot of discovery Wednesday morning. By the time you get to Wednesday afternoon, though, Venus is there kind of sweetening the pot. The opposition, or the square, is to Mars. Too much energy, too much lust, and to Jupiter, overdoing it. So, all the macho and the overdoing it kind of ruins the sweet, sexy moments here on Wednesday afternoon and evening. Thursday morning, time you get up, the moon will be in Gemini. And again, the vibes change a lot. And right away, there's the opposition to Saturn. Ice, snow, cold. Now, this is the morning of the 1st. And, that night at midnight, everybody does this big magical ceremony. And to have the moon opposing Saturn at that time isn't so good. It means we're all going to be concerned with the laws and the judges and the institutions we set up and freeze in place. They're the problem. Whether it's the policing or the food or the doctoring and the drugs or the banks, they're all systems that were set up and frozen in place, and people found ways to abuse them. And there's the confusion of Neptune Thursday night. You're losing something? Can't remember what you were doing? You're okay. It's just the moon squaring Neptune. And it started with the opposition to Saturn, so you know, it's hard to do anything organized on Thursday. Very difficult all through the day. Friday morning, though, here's the sextile to Uranus. And so zap, triumph of the common sense and science and brotherhood clicks in, and we feel a lot better, more independent and more solid Friday morning. Friday night, here's the Mars-Jupiter thing in sextile and trine. Here's constructive physical work. Here's talking out. Here's action done with some energy. Friday night, the 2nd of January. Saturday the 3rd, moon still in Gemini when you wake up. It continues with good, I'll get out and fix it kind of vibes all the way through Saturday afternoon, and the moon shifts into Cancer. And then Saturday night, there's a nice trine to Neptune. Here's music, here's party, here's color. You know, here, come fill the cup. Saturday night, people are going to enjoy themselves. Yeah, on the 3rd. On Sunday, the 4th, we got the Uranus-Pluto thing again. Here's the shakiness, here's the aloneness, here's sudden power problems. It's getting in our way. There's a full moon Sunday night that opposes Pluto. You got to eek a bug for a whole month. This is not very comfortable. We're going to find that, you know, we're not happy with the bugs of the policeman, the Ebola, all that stuff. It's very difficult. And we got, you know, Uranus stationing too, so you got wind and volcano damage. Both. There could be other things. Maybe something knocks the power out on Kauai. Maybe it's a power plant problem. That's a Pluto thing. So unusual fast happens suddenly. See what happens on Oahu and on Kauai. But, you know, this full moon here on January 4th, we're going to have a whole month of people being irate about the police. The police are in trouble again. The video camera is Uranus, captured the police doing their dastardly deeds. You got a whole month of it after January 4th. Heck, a little more coaching about getting through the month following January 4th is this Uranus-Pluto square, which got set off, back in September, and then anyway, for every 3 months for a while, we've had lunations hitting this thing, increasing problems on it. For you personally, there's a certain aloneness, and then there's this power and control issue. And, you know, it sets off your reptile brain. And this response is like, eek, a bug, flight or fight. And the policemen who are getting caught in these things are caught up in this. They panic out, you know, and the video camera catches them. But for you personally, this panicky feeling comes up whenever the moon goes by here once a week. Yeah, so it hits here, a week later hits here. It's going to start here on the 4th, and then a week later it'll happen again. And by and large, this is happening on Sundays, and the way our calendar works is that you'll feel it on Sundays for a little while, and it slowly, during the month, works its way back into Saturdays. So it's on the weekends when you're going to feel this the most. And because the sun is there setting it off in a full moon, every weekend at sunrise, noontime, sunset, and midnight, you'll get an extra zap of eek, a bug, a little panicky, what? You know, I'm already having bug problems here. Doggone cockroach landed on me.